Welcome to Level Up Tribes. Level Up Tribes provides resources to help you attain the necessary resources to level up your mind, body, and soul and realize your full potential. It is about exploring, learning, providing you with the tools from the experts for you to create a better version of yourself. I am your host, Agnes Goodwine, and welcome, Tribes. Today, I have Brenden Kumarasamy. He is the founder of Master Talk. He coaches ambitious executives and entrepreneurs to become top 1% communicators in their industry. He also has a popular YouTube channel called Master Talk with the goal of providing free access to communication tools for everyone in the world. Today, I invite him to share his secret sauce, or should I say secret sauces, to help us explore our own unique communication style to elevate us from average speakers to exceptional. I'm very proud of you. So I was listening to other podcasts that you've done. You've done a lot. You've been a busy person in 2020. And so it's amazing to hear your story from going to college for a whole different profession and becoming what you are today and helping others. So, yeah, you can expound it more into your story. And again, welcome to Level Up Tribes.
Agnes, the pleasure's absolutely mine. That's awfully kind of you. Thanks so much. I really appreciate it. I'm glad that I did something right with my life and you recognize that. So to your point, my story is a bit different than most entrepreneurs. I never really wanted to be a communication professional. I always like to say that communication chose me. I didn't really choose speaking because I went to school for accounting. Like that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a numbers guy. I went to work at a big four accounting firm. But in that journey, Agnes, I discovered these things called case competitions. Think of it like professional sports for nerds. While other guys might be playing like rugby or baseball or basketball, I wasn't really one of those guys. So I did presentations competitively. It's how I learned how to speak. And then as I got older, I started coaching all the students on how to communicate, mostly to win that competition. And that's what led to Master Talk accidentally.
I love that. And, in spirituality, when you're walking the path just opens. And that's exactly what it's doing for you.
That's very well said. I've never heard it said in that way, but I love it. In this, for me, the way I define what you said is when we make decisions as human beings, we move the ball forward. Eventually, other opportunities open up that we never would have thought or expected to do when we were younger. So for me, I thought I was going to be an executive at IBM. I thought that was my life. I never wanted to be a CEO of a business. I thought it was too risky. It didn't really make much sense to me. And Master Art just came at the right moment at the right time where I was in my last semester of college and I'd coach 60 people for free. I didn't know you get paid to be a coach. I didn't know that was a career. And somebody just asked me, how did you learn how to speak? And that's what started Master Talk because I realized no one was doing what I was doing.
And you also were part of Lewis Howe's Inner Circle program.
Yeah, so Lewis has it was like $100 a month program. So I've been following Lewis since I was 20 years old. He's
I
the host
love
of the
him.
school group. Yeah, he's great. And he's the main reason I actually became really successful in my career because I met my business partner at his event. He hosts an event in Columbus called Summit of Greatness, and I attend every year, and I met my business partner there.
Give us the pillars of Brenden. Like, what do we need to do to become this exceptional speaker?
For sure, Agnes. So the way that I think about it is communication is like juggling 18 balls at the same time, right? One of them is eye contact, one of them is body language, one of them is facial expressions, and the list can go on. But it can get really overwhelming for people who are trying to work on this. So for me, the question has always been, what are the three easiest balls to juggle? Because if we juggle those, then it'll be really easy to gain momentum. Kind of like when we're cooking, it's a lot easier to figure out how to do scrambled eggs than, let's say, a souffle, because it's really easy to mess that up. So it's the same thing with communication. So let's go through my easy threes. I'll do one ball at a time. So ball one, the random word exercise. Pick a random word, like light bulb, ceiling, home, trophy case, paper towel. Create random presentations out of thin air. And the reason this is so effective is two. One, because it helps you deal with uncertainty, because life is filled with it, Agnes. You can go to a party, an event, talk to somebody, you have no clue how that conversation is going to do or what's it about. So if you talk about avocados for 30 seconds, you could talk about everything for 30 seconds and anything. And number two is if you can make sense out of nonsense, you can make sense out of anything. And that's really the magic of doing the random word exercise. Do this with your kids, do this with your family, do this in the shower, just do it every day, and you'll get a lot better at speaking on the cusp. Yeah, so that's ball one. And then ball two, I just want to monologue for 10 minutes. Ball two is the question drill, right? So we get asked questions all the time in our life, Agnes, at work, at school, in our lives, but most of us are reactive to those questions. We're not proactive. We wait for the question to come up and then we go, okay. I'll give you an example. When I started guesting on podcasts 3 years ago and I was a lot less busy and no one wanted to have me on their shows, I sucked. I was terrible. I remember I got on a show once and the guy asked me, where does the fear of communication come from? And I looked at him and I was like, Phoenix, Los Angeles, maybe it's New York City. So like I had no idea how to answer the question. So what did I do differently? Every single day for 5 minutes, I answered one question that I thought the world would ask me about my expertise, my products, or my services. But if you do that for a year, Agnes, just one question a day, you'll have answered 365 questions. You'll be bulletproof. And finally, ball three is video messages. Just pick people that you love and send them video messages. So the first piece is a strategy I teach or presentation that you could actually apply next month called puzzle. So puzzle just means as kids we play those jigsaw puzzles. You know those puzzles we put together? It's 500 pieces, 700 pieces. So if I asked you, Agnes, simple question. If you were working on a jigsaw puzzle, which pieces would you start with first and why?
It depends on the puzzle.
Tell me more about that.
It depends on the puzzle. If, the shape of the puzzle, yeah, it just depends on the texture of the puzzle. It depends on a lot of things.
I love that, Agnes. That's it. You're clearly a professional puzzle player, because what a lot of people answer is they answer the edges, and the reason is because they're just easier to find in the box. So you just look them up. They got a little edgy, and then you pull them out. You put them all together. But you're more advanced than most of us. So
No,
it's more for the professionals, I
I'll
think.
probably do it the hard way.
Yeah. And we do that a lot with our presentations. When there's an easier route, we always pick the hard way. So going back to the puzzles
That would
now, why am I?
probably be me.
Yeah, there you go. So why am I gun ho about this analogy, Agnes? It's very simple. Because in presentations we do the opposite. We shove a bunch of content in the middle. And then when we get to the presentation, we ramble throughout the whole thing. And then the last slide sounds something like this. Uh, yeah, so thanks. Not the right approach. So instead, what you want to do when you're practicing speeches is you want to practice it like a jigsaw puzzle. Start with the edges first. Do the introduction, just the intro, 20 times. 20 seems like a big number, but your introduction is like 2 minutes. It's only take you 45 minutes to do it 20 times. Same thing for the conclusion. What's a great movie with a terrible ending? Last time I checked, terrible movie. Same thing for the conclusion, and then tackle the middle.
So let's just pause for a second. You're a data guy where my thinking process is so different. I'm more on I'm very creative, on the moment, go with the flow. But that doesn't work when you're actually doing a presentation, right? You have to have a format, you have to practice beforehand.
So the answer, Agnes, how I would see this is the answer is both. So there's beauty in both perspectives. So what do I mean by this? One is the practice, right? When we're presenting for, let's say, a formal speech, we want to get all the ducks in a row. It definitely does pay to practice. But to your side, the creative side, the go with the flow side, there's always going to be situations we won't be prepared for. There are so many times in my career I've been given 45 minutes to give a speech, and I get to the speech and I have 15 minutes because there's just a delay in the scheduling, and I have to cut my speech. So I can't just perfectly execute that anymore. I have to riff a little bit and change some things up on the fly. That's the benefit of random word exercise. So the answer is to have both perspectives. Practice the random word exercise. Go with the flow with that. That's what it is, right? You take a word like light bulb and you just invent stuff out of thin air. Get really good at that skill set, but also work on the weakness. So for you, it would be saying the random word exercise will come easy to you because you come with the flow a lot. So you'll be a lot more prepared. I'm a lot more on the prepared side. I like all my ducks in a row, so I'm going to practice the random word exercise. But the key is to do both.
I love that. What are the different types of presentation styles that you see for those that are listening and they really don't know what they are, so they can find, what they're comfortable with. Can you give us maybe, I don't know, two or three of those?
Yeah, let me make this super easy, Agnes. I've never really believed that there's a very specific kind of style that everyone just falls into. For me, it's more about saying, like, how much quantity. So what I mean by this, when I started my YouTube channel, I didn't have a style. I'm just a kid in my mother's basement making videos. I just go, this is Master Talk, and I'm gonna talk about speaking. But then over time, to your point, as we do a lot, we start to develop and find our voice over time. So for everyone listening to this podcast, you only have one assignment, and the assignment is simply a question. Are you booking 15 minutes every day to do the random word exercise? To do the question drill, to send a few video messages. And the problem is most of us aren't doing this, Agnes. Just wake up in the morning and just pick 5 words. Tissue box, towel, phone. Takes 5 minutes, you're done. Then go to the question drill. What's one question I'm going to answer today? Then you're done. Video messages. Pick three people's birthday. Open your phone on Facebook and just go, yo, it's your birthday. I just want to wish you happy birthday. Have a great day. That's it. And if you just do these things consistently, Agnes, you get really good at communication. It's just most people aren't willing to do 100 random words, 100 question drills, 100 video messages. Whereas if you did all three, it's very easy for you to find your voice. And then the last part to that is after you've done the quantity, just look at speakers on the internet you really admire. Like for me, it's Gary Vee, it's Alex Hormozy, it's Seth Godin, and just take a little bit from everybody, and that's how you'll find your style.
That's a great tip. I know like now everything is video, TikTok, Instagram. What are your tips in being comfortable? And I know what you're going to say. Being comfortable in front of the camera and to do the word of the day.
Absolutely, Agnes. So what I always like to say here is momentum is what always wins. So I'm never going to recommend somebody to post on social media right away on video. That might be a little bit too frightening. For me, it's all about going through the levels. That's why I like my easy threes, because these are the three easiest things we can work on. And I'll give you an example. The random word exercise, there shouldn't be any fear. Why? Because you could do this alone in your basement without anyone watching you. You could literally wait for everybody in your home to leave and just practice this on your own. So that's the easiest bar. And when you do this 10, 15 times, you go, I'm actually pretty good at this. It's not bad. And then you ask yourself a deeper question, because 80% of my clients are introverts, right? So I've been there, done that. I'm an extrovert, but the people I coach are introverts. But when they do this 10, 15 times, Agnes, I just ask them a simple question. What else is possible for your communication skills? And they go, I think you can do 50. I was like, then do 50. Then they do 50. Then I go, what else is possible? Like, I think I can do this in front of my family. Do this in front of your family. And then eventually what they answer is they go, anything is possible with my communication skills. And that's really the key. Then we go to the question drill. Question drill, you could do this alone with a Word document on your computer. You type out the answer, take a voice recorder, do it to yourself, not to anyone else, and you're done. And video messages, you don't have to send it to 20 strangers. I'm talking about 3 people you already love. It could be a grandmother. I'll give you an example. I was on a podcast with a woman named Christina who was brilliant, and I told her about this strategy. And she sent video messages to her grandparents because they live on the other side of the country and they never see her. And it made their day. They're like, oh my God, I get a video message from my granddaughter for like 20 seconds. Just say, hey, I love you guys. I hope you guys are doing well. And that's the magic.
Give us an example, the word microphone.
Absolutely. So you went easy on me, Agnes. You gave microphones. So for those who are listening, you know what? Let's make this harder for me. I'm
Okay,
going to force you to change the word, or else it'll look like I'm cheating.
I'll pick spirituality.
Spirituality. Okay. So Agnes did not give me the word spirituality. I just have to create something out of thin air. So here I go. Ever since I was a kid, I was always allergic to spirituality. And the reason is because my mother always tied spirituality with religion. And being the skeptic that I always was, all about scientific evidence and proof and thesis and evidence, I would always find holes in my mother's logic. And we would always get into fights all the time around spirituality. But what I later learned in life, Agnes, is spirituality is not a religion. Spirituality is a way of being. It's a way of who you are and how you live your life and how you connect to the different energies. that are around you. And once I learned that, it broadened my perspective and allowed me to receive that information. And even if I'm still a student of spirituality, Agnes, the lesson remains the same, which is the more you open yourself up to the world, the more the world opens up to you. So think of something that you heavily disagree with, a strong opinion. It could be around being a vegan, it could be political, it could be around spirituality, and ask yourself, what would a wiser person see that I'm not seeing? And if you follow that, maybe you'll be a little bit spiritual too. So there you go. Random word next time.
That was so poetic. I loved it.
Thanks.
You go, Brenden.
Thanks, Agnes. I appreciate your support. I don't. I'd be honest about it. I karaoke in 8 different languages, though. It's a fun fact about me.
Oh, really?
I do, yeah. I don't sing well, though, but
You Spanish?
Spanish is one of them, yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, go ahead.
But you're so funny. By the way, I'm not fluent in Spanish. So if you spoke to me in Spanish, I have no idea what you're saying. I would just go like,
Okay.
vamos a la biblioteca, which is just like, let's go to the library. That's all I would say. But I can do Enrique Iglesias's Alguien Soy Yo. Yeah, I can do that one.
For
But I've
real.
but I've no idea what it's. You're just like, I just want a performance. My
Take it
God.
away. Yeah.
You're so funny.
All right, back to seriousness. I wanted to ask you, are there any groups or books that you recommend to help us level up our public speaking?
So there's a book I recommend called Thirst by Scott Harrison. So I'll repeat that again. Thirst by Scott Harrison. Scott Harrison's the CEO and founder of Charity Water, which is a nonprofit he started to help the world gain access to clean water. I think the guy's genius. He's built literally the number one charity in America for the water crisis. But the reason I recommend the book is because I think he's one of the world's greatest storytellers that's ever lived. Like the way that he tells the story of the brand is really powerful. So I encourage people to read the book. And there's a great quote that I'll share as well. And the quote is, the goal is not to live forever, but rather create something that will.
You say that when you care about others and only want to add value, you'll be able to overcome any fear, obstacles in the service of others. And that is just that hit me so much in my heart.
I had every excuse not to start Mass Talk. And I'll tell you a little bit about that. One, I grew up speaking a language I didn't even know. Because I'm born and raised in Montreal, and for those who don't know, French is a required language if you want to speak there. So I'm in my first grade classroom. I look at the crowd and I go, bonjour. So that was my life growing up as a kid. The second one is I have a physical disability of my left arm. So I had a lot of anxiety even today, when people look at me, because they're always looking at my arm, they're never looking at my face. So I always get worried whenever I speak. And then on top of that, I studied the exact opposite of what a professional in my field should be studying, which is accounting. And I graduated in accounting. So I think the question, Agnes, is why did I think I could be one of the greats in this space? Because it makes no sense that I would be the person. Oh yeah, like I should be the person creating videos for people on speaking. The reason was because of the 7-year-old girl who couldn't afford a speech coach. I'm a big believer in what Ali Gadet says, which is if you help one person, the world will give you permission to help everyone else. So for me, when I was sitting on my mother's couch, right, it wasn't about me going, oh yeah, because now I work with, amazing people. I'm super grateful. I almost can't believe it, honestly. But when I started, it wasn't about clients or executives and CEOs. It was about going, wait a second, Julia's in high school. She's 14 years old. Who's creating content for her? And I realized nobody was. So it's either I make my shitty videos in my mother's basement, no money in my pocket, or nobody makes them. And that's what pushed me to make Mass Talk a reality. So I did.
Awesome. Well, you're doing amazing work. I'm definitely going to follow you on YouTube. I already got a few golden nugget. So thank you so much for giving part of yourself and what you love to do to us and to the community. I'm pretty sure you're going to be like big time in the next couple of years or probably tomorrow, who knows. You have great connections, you have the heart and the intellect to really make it happen. So kudos to you. What's next for you? What does Brenden want to do next?
For sure. For me, Agnes, the mission of Master Talk is to empower every genius in our society to become an exceptional communicator. That's my mission. So for me now, it's about scaling that. So I'm thankful I've had some success early in the game. So now it's about saying, how do I amplify that more? Growing the social media accounts, growing the coaching business, growing all of the sides of the practice so that I can get to a place where I can eventually, write books and do all that fun stuff and really become this generation's Dale Carnegie. That's the goal. Let's see if I can pull it off.
I'm sure you will. Is there anything else you would like to add or discuss that perhaps we didn't touch on today?
For sure, Agnes. I'll end with a question. And the question is simply this: how would your life change if you became an exceptional communicator? The challenge and what I don't like about this industry in general, Agnes, it's always tied to negativity and stress and fear, and we're all going to die. And I was like, okay, that's not going to help people get better. So for me, the question has always been, how would your life be different? Like, what if you became a great speaker? What would happen to your family? Because life is all about communication. I believe is so much more than getting on a stage. Right? It's the way we lead a more fulfilling life. It's the way we raise our children. It's the way that we make new friends. It's the way that we order food at a restaurant. It's every moment of our life. So if we just get better at it, we'll just have a better life. So I encourage people to dream about their communication skills and not just sit around and look at it and go, oh my God, I have to do the dishes again.
Well, I wish you the best.
Thanks, Agnes. Such a pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for listening. Please visit the website at www.leveluptribes.com. And please subscribe to the podcast and share with your family and friends. Be sure to tune in to our next episode. Catch you all next time, my beloved tribes.